Hello, 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 my loves. Happy Wednesday, and welcome to another edition of the monthly Astro Forecast live here in the Astro Room on YouTube. So, I am your host and your favorite astrologer, Mel of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So, if this is our first time meeting, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So, this channel is everything astrology, spirituality, and manifestation. So, if those are the things you like, if those are the things you love, or if those are the things you want to learn more about, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so you'll always be notified when I come out with new content. All right, my love. So this is going to be the monthly Astro forecast for February 2024. All right, so an interesting month in that we're going to have a serious concentration of energy in one particular spot. Not only that, this is going to be the first month where we have no retrogrades whatsoever. So none of us are going to have any excuses for not getting things done and for not moving forward. So the energy this month is going to be quite interesting, but I think it's actually going to be really good because when there's no retrogrades, it's almost like we have a clear lane in front of us. It's a bright, sunny day. There's no traffic, and we can just hit the road and just go forward uninterrupted for the most part. So this could be a month where we make strides, but still remember, we are still in winter. So while we may not have the most energy to do everything, I think that this is going to be a month where we can start to get some things done, where things will kind of start to thaw out and we can make some movement forward. But it's also sort of the end of the natural year because we start Pisces season this month. So by the end of February, it's going to be time to start wrapping things up. And it's going to be a time of contemplation, of meditation, and of reflection as we get ready for the natural new year, which happens in March, right? But of course, I'm getting ahead of myself. As always, we start with some housekeeping and announcements. So if you are joining me here on the live this evening, thank you so much for tuning in. I sincerely appreciate you. Definitely say hi on your way in and hit that like button. That lets the algorithm know that you value this information or this content, right? And so it'll disseminate it to more people because more people definitely need to hear what I have to say. Trust and believe. All right. So thank you so much for tuning in. And if you're watching this on the replay, I appreciate you just as much. I sincerely hope that you get what you are looking for in this broadcast, whether it's clarity, whether it's new information, whether it's confirmation. Either way, I hope that you find this content valuable. And if you do, definitely hit that like button as well as the subscribe button and that notification bell. All right. So let's see. So far in the chat, we've got Ramel and we have Patricia Jean. Hello. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. All right. So if you are someone who is interested in your horoscope, but you have no idea where to look, or maybe the stuff online isn't really pertaining to you, it doesn't really resonate with you, then consider subscribing to my text service where you will receive your horoscope, your weekly horoscope every Monday. If you're interested, you're going to want to text the word ZODIAC to the number 855-826-5544. That information will be in the description box below in case you missed that. All right. And if you are someone who is new to astrology and you have no idea what's going on, or maybe you've started studying astrology and you're realizing that it is a lot, because it is. Don't worry, I've got you covered. So I created this thing called the Astrology Basics Cheat Sheet, which basically gives you the quick and dirty on everything you need to know to start studying and understanding astrology. Namely, the 4 pillars of astrology, which are the planets, the houses, the zodiac signs, and the aspects. So it's an 11-page PDF document that gives you a short summary on all of these things so you can start committing them to memory, because regardless of what anyone says or doesn't say about astrology, astrology is indeed a science, and like any science, requires a good deal of study. So to help you start studying, I created this cheat sheet. Link is in the description box below. All you need to do is drop your email address and you are good to go. All right. Now, in terms of other announcements, I now offer a new service, which I think you guys will like. I've had a lot of people DM me, especially on Instagram, about numerology, right? I do offer a numerology report, right, as one of my services where I break down all of your important numbers so you get a little more information about you, right? However, I just put this service together, which is basically your natal chart report plus your numerology report put together. And I call it the starter pack because it'll basically give you everything from soup to nuts about you, the astrology portion and the numerology portion. It's really dope. I highly suggest that you at least take a look at it, right? The link will be in the description box below and will also be tagged to this video. All right, so February is going to be an interesting month. When I say that we are going to have a ton of energy in Aquarius, I am not kidding, all right? So you are going to want to break out your natal chart and look to see what house Aquarius is, because this is the area of life that's going to have a serious emphasis in the month of February, definitely in the beginning half of February, all right? Basically, I don't want to say almost all, but there are going to be 6 out of 10 planets in the sign of Aquarius in February. So it's a lot. It's going to be intense. But also understand that the energy of Aquarius has a lot to do with the future. So with all of this planetary energy in this one sign, we have the ability to really set things in motion geared toward the future. Okay. It's really important that you keep that in mind because as things start to progress, especially with Pluto getting comfortable in Aquarius, Pluto will unearth a lot of things, particularly in the house that Aquarius covers. Okay. So for instance, let's say that you have Aquarius as your 7th house, which would make you a Leo rising. Pluto in Aquarius, it's helping you transform your relationships, right? Your partnerships. It's going to help you transform your commitments, your obligations, all of that stuff, right? But inherent in that transformation, Pluto is going to dig up the things that no longer serve you. So let's say it is abandonment issues. Let's say it's codependency. Let's say it's wounds related to betrayal, right? Anything that could really stand in the way of transforming your relationships, Pluto is going to bring to the surface so that you can recognize it and get rid of it. Now, while that is all well and good, understand that Pluto does this in a very profound sort of way. And a lot of times it can feel all encompassing. And I say that because you don't want to get lost in the sauce of the past right now, especially in February. Because like I said, we've got so much energy in Aquarius. This is really about setting our sights on the future and figuring out what we can improve in our lives. So while that does require a certain amount of reflection, right? You can't think about what you want to improve if you're not looking at things as they are, or perhaps even how they were. But that's not where you want to get stuck. You don't want to get stuck in, well, this happened in the past, and whatever has transpired in the past has already passed. It's time to either work through it or discard it, because we've got our sights set on the future. And the future can look remarkably different than our past. Never think that your past necessarily determines your future, only if you allow it. So if you think that, well, I'm never going to get married because I've gone through all this stuff, or I'm not worthy or anything like that, yes, that will be your future. If you decide to continue your past, if you make your past your present and your future, right? But the whole point of Pluto in Aquarius is like, it is transforming your mindset, how you think about things, while unearthing probably some really hard emotions, some wounds, some traumas, all of that stuff. Pluto is great for doing that, right? But don't get stuck in that. Keep your eyes on the prize. Keep your eye toward the future. And if you want a whole new life, if you want a whole new narrative, if you want to break the chains and the patterns of the past, you can definitely do that in I was going to say October. I don't know where I got that from. In February. Like, no bullshit. You really can. If you are willing to relinquish any of the stuff that you're holding on to, any of that emotional baggage, number one. And number two, if you're willing to work with the planetary energy as it is presenting itself in February in the sign of Aquarius, okay? This is, it is kind of major. I mean, everything has a certain element, a certain tone of majorness, I guess, to it. But we can really get some stuff done in the month of February. All right, so let's get into the highlights and see what we've got going on. Hello, Rich Sapphire, aka the Black Crystal. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right, so tonight's highlights, or should I say February's highlights? We have what I like to call all systems go. And this is what I mentioned before. There are going to be no retrograde planets. So this is all about moving forward. This is all about focusing on the future, especially with the sun in Aquarius in the beginning of February. So our consciousness, our focus is going to be future oriented. And it's also going to be no interruptions for the most part. And when I say interruptions, you know that retrograde energy tends to slow things down. It tends to delay things. It tends to hold us back, right? Think of retrograde energy as like a slingshot that's being held back, right? With no retrograde planets this month, it's like that slingshot is being released and we can finally move forward. And so this is going to be a month where you're literally going to feel the shift. So perhaps we've had retrograde planets since about late spring, early summer of 2023. So at some point in time, there was always a planet that was retrograde, right? So that being the case, it's like you may have been able to move forward in one area of life, right? But in another area of life, things were delayed or slow or whatever, right? That's not happening in February. Everyone is moving forward. Every planet is moving forward. Every person is moving forward, right? So it's going to be up to us to take advantage of that planetary energy. Then we have what I like to call into the future. And this is the Aquarius stellium. Now, a stellium is when you have 3 or more planets conjunct in a sign. In the beginning of February, we are going to have a grand total of 6 planets in Aquarius. So get comfortable with whatever area of life Aquarius covers in your chart, because again, this is where we're going to have all of this intense energy, right? So we're going to have Pluto, Mercury, the new moon, Mars, Venus, and the sun in Aquarius. So like I said, get comfortable. This is the area of life where we can experience great innovation, invention, and improvement in our lives. This is where we can have a different mindset. This is where we can find our tribe. There's just going to be a lot of different types of activity and different types of planetary energy going off in Aquarius in February. All right. So definitely, I don't even need to say keep your eyes out for it because you're going to feel it regardless, right? But it's all about how to take advantage of that energy, which I will explain as this broadcast progresses. And then finally, we have what I like to call the final frontier, and this is Pisces season. So midway through the month, the sun will move into Pisces, and then this is going to be like the December of the year. It's the time when we wrap things up. It's the time when things come to, I don't want to say a culmination, but Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. So it's like tying loose ends, resting to a certain extent, but really going within, reflecting, meditating, really contemplating on what has transpired and what you would like to transpire in the coming natural new year. All right. So it's also about karma. It's also about incubation. I mean, it's sort of that last push, maybe not say last, I shouldn't say push because that's sort of the wrong word to use with the word hibernation, but it's that last, it's like the alarm is about to go off, right? To wake up. So it's that last stage of incubation that we have during this period of hibernation when we really gather up our strength, tie up loose ends, because when that alarm clock goes off on the first day of Aries season, it is going to be go time. All right. So let's get into the general astrology and see what February has to offer. So we've got Mercury in Aquarius, new moon in Aquarius, Mars in Aquarius, Venus in Aquarius. You see a trend here? And then we have the sun moving into Pisces, followed by Mercury moving into Pisces. And then the full moon of the month will be in the sign of Virgo. All right. So let's talk. All right. I forgot that I had to close all of these. All right, so we will begin with Mercury in Aquarius. All right, so the first thing I want to say, and what's really important to note with all of these planets, as all of these planets move into Aquarius, they are going to conjunct Pluto, because Pluto, think of Pluto being at the front door of Aquarius. If Aquarius is a house, any of the planets that are about to go into the house, right? Like Mercury, Venus, the new moon, they're going to have to cross Pluto first. So that energy of transformation is going to be activated with different topics in our lives. Okay. So what exactly does that mean? So Mercury, the planet Mercury, has a lot to do, or has everything to do with ideas and communication. So when it links up, so when it meets Pluto at the front door, it's like the way that we think and the way we communicate is going to be transformed. And then as it moves into the house, it's going about the house with a different mindset, with a different communication style, right? Then a planet like Mars. Mars is all about our desires. Mars is all about starting new things, being pioneering. When it meets up with Pluto at the front door of Aquarius, the way that we go after our goals, the way that we confront people, the way that we go after what we desire is going to be transformed. Then when Mars goes through the house of Aquarius, Mars is doing Mars-like things, but in a very transformative kind of way. Then there is Venus. Venus has a lot to do with love and money. When Venus goes into Aquarius, before it gets through Aquarius, it has to meet Pluto at that front door. And now love and money are going to be transformed before Venus moves through the house of Aquarius. So as Venus moves through Aquarius, we are relating to people differently. We are handling money differently. Do you understand what I mean? As each planet goes through Aquarius, it is changing. That energy is changing within us. All right. So like I said, you guys are going to definitely feel this shift in energy. All right. Hello, Tyler, and hello, Linda. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. All right. So first up, the first planet that not only enters Aquarius, but meets up with Pluto at the door is going to be Mercury. And that's going down on February 5th. So Mercury in Aquarius is all about a futuristic mindset. It's like a mindset that is focused on improvement and innovation. Think about someone who, people who love to tinker with things. Like, let's say they have an electronic device. They like to take it apart and then put it back together, see how it works. But not even just see how it works. It's more so like, how can I make this better? How can I add more lights to this? How can I make the sound louder, right? That's sort of the essence of Mercury in Aquarius. We're tinkering with things. We're improving things, perhaps even inventing things, right? Mercury in Aquarius also has a lot to do with insight and intuition. So apart from just being very cerebral and mental, Mercury in Aquarius has a lot to do with our inner intuition. So when people have flashes of insight or aha moments, Mercury in Aquarius really fosters that. So this can be a time where you have a lot of bright ideas, where you are brainstorming, where you're able to think of new and innovative things that you can take into the future. Now, because Mercury is going to meet up with Pluto, these ideas can really transform your life, or they can be very different than the ideas and the improvements that you may have made in the past, okay? It's also going to be a time where we're communicating more with people who are on the same wavelength. Aquarius is the sign of the collective. And so with Mercury going into Aquarius, not only are we communicating with our tribe or the people who we vibe with on the same wavelength more, or perhaps that kind of communication is going to come into focus, the way that we communicate is also going to be transformed thanks to Pluto in Aquarius, okay? So that's the first topic that's going to be transformed and that's going to be highlighted is our ideas and our communication style. All right. Then next up, We've got the new moon in Aquarius, okay? And this is going down on February 9th. New moons are all about new beginnings. It's about setting new intentions and planting new seeds. So wherever Aquarius is in your chart, this is the area of life where you'll want to start something new, okay? So for instance, if Aquarius is your 7th house, this could be a relationship, a commitment. If Aquarius is your 2nd house, it could be money matters or a new job. If Aquarius is your 9th house, this may be a new trip or maybe upper level education like grad school, medical school, law school, right? All of those things. So you can literally plant new seeds for wherever Aquarius is in your chart. Now, because Aquarius is an air sign and air signs have to do with ideas, communication, you are definitely going to want to brainstorm and plan what this thing is. This may not necessarily be the time to take action steps. And this makes sense because, again, we're still in that hibernation period at this time. So it really behooves you. This isn't the time to just be like, oh, I want to make more money. Boom, let's do this. This isn't the time to necessarily be proactive in that way or action oriented in that way. It's more so about, all right, my money situation has been like this for the last couple of years. How can I change it? What can I do differently? It may even be learning certain skills in order to facilitate this change. So let's say you're like, okay, Aquarius is your 2nd house. So it has to do with money. How can you make more money? How can you get a new job? Well, maybe this job that pays more requires you to get some sort of a certification, or it requires you to learn certain skills, right? Particularly skills having to do with digital marketing or maybe even coding, right? Coding would be a big one because that sort of fits into the Aquarius energy signature, right? Because Aquarius has a lot to do with the internet and things like that. So these might be new skills that you have to acquire in order to facilitate this change in your money situation, this transformation in your money situation, right? Because again, Pluto is currently in Aquarius and Pluto is just transforming that area of your life over the next 20 years anyway. So that's what's going on in the backdrop. But in the forefront, we have this new moon. So it's like, all right, I could plant. I know I'm having a transformation in this area of life. So at this new moon, I can plant seeds facilitating that transformation. And again, it's going to be about planning. It's not necessarily going to be impulsive energy or really emotional energy. This is like, all right, this is what I need to do for this. Let me plan. Let me put a plan in place. Let me talk to people, right? Perhaps there is a group online who has this job or who has these skills where I can learn from them as well. Remember, Aquarius is the sign of the collective. So this is us talking to other people, getting in groups with other people who are on the same wavelength. All right. So these are seeds of the future that we're planting at this new moon. So take this seriously. And again, plan. All right. All right. So next up, we've got Mars entering Aquarius. So we already had Mercury, which is transforming our ideas and our communication. Mars has everything to do with our desires. It's like wanting something and going after it and being one-track minded about it. Mars is also how we fight. Mars also describes our physical energy. Mars has a lot to do with the body in that it sort of represents our life force energy. I wouldn't say our life force energy. That's more so the sun. But I would say that Mars is physical strength, endurance, stamina, right? So when Mars enters Aquarius, it's like your mind has been, I'm laughing because Spirit is showing me the cutest like scenario. It's like your brain bench pressing in the gym. Like that's exactly what Mars in Aquarius is like. It's like your brain is on steroids. I don't want to say that, but you're really getting a mental workout. Your mental activities are going to be strengthened, right? You may be thinking a lot more. You may be communicating a lot more. And there may also be this burning desire to really vibe with people on the same wavelength. I feel like the overwhelming way that Mars in Aquarius is going to present itself is that The things that we want in the future, we're going to feel very motivated to achieve them or go after them, right? It's going to be like, okay, I want my future to look like this. Maybe you want to, I don't know, make 6 figures or make 7 figures, right? And you have this like burning desire for it. Mars in Aquarius is going to give you that burning desire to go after it and sort of be one track minded about it. Now, remember, Mars is going to be met with Pluto at the door when it gets to Aquarius. So the way that we go after our goals, the way that we communicate, the way that we think about things is going to change drastically. And Mars may bring out this very spicy sort of communication style. It may have us being very combative. One of the things that Aquarius governs is like group think and group ideology. So like I said before, Aquarius is like finding your tribe, finding people that you vibe on the same wavelength with. There could be this element of defensiveness when it comes to this ideology, right? You found your people, and now it's sort of like anyone who doesn't think like you, anyone who doesn't communicate like you, you're kind of very defensive or very opinionated about the way that they communicate, right? There could be some of that because remember, Mars has a lot to do with combat, with conflict, with war. So it's almost like we find our tribe and we're willing to go to war for them. We're willing to defend our beliefs. We're willing to defend our group, our association. We're willing to defend these future goals and plans that we have for the future, okay? And again, that's going to be transformed as Mars hits Pluto when it first gets to Aquarius, all right? So that's going down on February 13th. Thereafter, Venus will enter Aquarius, and this is going down on February 16th. So Venus in Aquarius is all about love and money, but in an Aquarian kind of style, okay? So when I mean Aquarian kind of style, you know, when we think of love, we think of warmth, we think of emotions, we may even think lovey-dovey, right? Aquarius tends to be somewhat emotionally detached. Aquarius is a lot more cerebral than it is emotional. So our approach to love when Venus is in Aquarius is really more like friendship. Because again, Aquarius is the sign of the collective. So Venus in Aquarius is like love on a broader scale. It's more of a friendship. So these may be the relationships that actually come into focus and are emphasized when Venus goes into Aquarius, even if Aquarius is not your 11th house of friendship. Because Venus in Aquarius by itself really has that friendship kind of signature to it. Now, when it comes to money, which is the other topic that Venus covers, this could be sort of how to improve money, different innovations when it comes to money. I would not be surprised if there is sort of a global innovation when Venus goes into Aquarius. And the one thing I'm hearing, and I haven't read anything about this recently, but I believe there is a form of cryptocurrency that the government is coming out with. I forgot what it's called. I don't know if it's called FedNow or something like that. For some reason, I wouldn't be surprised if you hear some sort of development with that while Venus is in Aquarius, right? Because this is all about innovation, especially when it comes to money. Now, because of the presence of Pluto at the front door of Aquarius, when Venus enters Aquarius, this is going to change something profoundly when it comes to money on a grand scale, right? Because again, Aquarius is the sign of the collective. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if I hear or if we hear some sort of news of some sort of new cryptocurrency, some sort of financial transformation going down in February, okay? Venus in Aquarius also wants to improve on relationships, but not in an emotional sort of way. It's more in a friendship sort of way, number one, but also in the way that you think about relationships. And thinking about relationships in a broader scale on the collective scale, right? So Venus in Aquarius isn't necessarily it's not necessarily what you would typically think of love when you think about love, right? It's a lot colder. It's a lot less emotional, but it sort of highlights the communication in relationships. And that's what I think is going to be emphasized when Venus is in Aquarius. Okay. And that's going down on February 16th. Thereafter, we have finally the first planet that's going out of Aquarius, and that will be Pisces, and that will be the sun. So the sun will be moving into Pisces on February 18th, officially beginning Pisces season. Now, like I mentioned before, and I called it the final frontier, is because Pisces season is about wrapping things up. It's about karma, right? Things coming full circle. We've gone from Aries last March, and now in February of 2024, we're wrapping things up in Pisces season. And it's also about incubation. Think about Pisces season as the last trimester of the baby in the womb. That development that needs to happen, right? And that development comes from within. It's a quiet time. It's also, babies are in amniotic fluid, right? But water represents emotions. It also represents life. That's where life springs from. And so this is a period of time where we're not only incubating, but we are developing everything we need, because come Aries season, that first day of Aries season, it's like your birthday, right? It's the day that you're born. It's the day that you emerge. That's when we're going to emerge from this hibernation, having reflected, having developed, having begun transformation, right? Especially with that major Pluto transit, Pluto in Aquarius. So yeah, Pisces season is about resting, reflection, contemplation, all that good stuff. And that begins on February 18th. Then close on the heels of the sun moving into Pisces, Mercury will move into Pisces on February 23rd. So Mercury in Aquarius was all about our ideas, our communication, thinking about innovating and inventing and thinking of the future. And now it's almost like that energy is expressed outwardly when it is in Aquarius. When it is in Pisces, we take that inward. So when I say Pisces season is the time for contemplation and reflection, that is all the more so because Mercury is going to be in Pisces. So our thoughts are going to be about wrapping things up. Our thoughts are going to be directed inward, right? And that development is first going to happen mentally, right? Because Mercury has everything to do with our ideas and our communication. And this is where we communicate with our higher selves. Pisces season tends to be, or it can be, I should say, quite spiritual, because it's where we discover our relationship to God, to the universe, to our higher selves, right? That dialogue is being directed inwardly. And so when Mercury goes into Pisces, that is exactly what we are going to be doing. And that will be going down on February 23rd. And then finally, we close out February with the full moon in Virgo. So full moons are all about illumination and culmination, right? It's when our manifestations come to fruition on the one hand. And then on the other hand, it's also when things become illuminated. So wherever Virgo is in your chart, this is where you may receive some illumination. Virgo energy has a lot to do with perfection and attention to detail. So at the full moon in Virgo, we may become aware of where we've been not paying attention to the details, right? Of where we haven't really been working at our best. We haven't been working optimally, or perhaps where we haven't been of service. Everything with full moons is about balance, because that's when the sun and the moon are opposite. So inherent in the energy of full moons is the energy of balance. So perhaps the full moon in Virgo may show you what area of life is imbalanced. Maybe you are serving everyone else, but not yourself. Or maybe you're seeing too much of the big picture, but not enough of the details, right? In any event, I will always be doing a dedicated video for that full moon in Virgo later on in February. So definitely look out for that. But suffice it to say, it's going to be a time of illumination where we may see what needs to be perfected in our life, what we may need to work on, or what we may need to work on differently. All right. And that is pretty much it for the month of February. Like I said, and as you can see, it's a whole bunch of Aquarian energy. So get comfortable with that because that is going to be the emphasis for February. All right. So, of course, now I will pull some cards for us for messages from Spirit. All right. So, of course, I do this by sign. However, it could be your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign. Doesn't matter. If it is your message, it is your message. And if it's not your message, then it's not your message. You can just let it go. All right. So, of course, we are going to begin with Aries. So let's see what we have for Aries for the month of February. Ooh. Normally, I don't take the ones that fall on the floor, but I'm being guided to take this one. All right, Aries, you guys have the Six of Cups. The Six of Cups has everything to do with nostalgia. It has a lot to do with the past, right? And perhaps reflecting on when times were good, or at least maybe even when times were simpler. So I feel like February is going to be a month where you're doing just that. You're reminiscing on the past. And remember what I said before about how with Pluto and Aquarius, perhaps a lot of the things from the past are going to be dug up. It's important to recognize what comes up, work through it, and let it go. That's the essence of Pluto energy. And then keep your eyes on the future. And I feel like quite a bit from your past or something significant from your past is going to be emphasized in the month of February. And of course, everything happens for a reason. And I feel like there's something important or important lesson from the past that you need to glean from whatever is coming up. This could literally be someone from the past coming back around, or this could be a situation in the present that triggers something, that triggers within you something that happened in the past. Either way, recognize it for what it is. Work through it, release it, and then keep it moving. And you guys are pretty good at that. You guys are not ones to really wallow in the past. You guys are kind of like, all right, that happened, move forward. However, I feel like February is calling you to kind of slow down a little bit. Don't be so quick to get over it. Really take a look at what this situation is trying to show you or what it's trying to teach you, and then move forward. All right. Next up, we have Taurus. Let's see what we've got for Taurus for this month. For the month of February, I should say. Taurus, we've got the Six of Swords. So for you, Taurus, there is this energy of you're over it and you're moving past it. It's almost like I'm getting this feeling of like accomplishment. There could have been something that was nagging you mentally, or something that's been on your mind for a long time, or maybe you've been vacillating when it comes to something for a minute. And I feel like in February, you're finally like, okay, I'm really over this. Like I can really get over this. You've really gotten over it in your mind, and you're really able to move on to the next thing. And I feel this sense of accomplishment. So whatever was nagging you could have been weighing heavily on you. You could have been thinking about it a lot. And it's almost like you wake up and you realize, hey, I haven't really thought about that much anymore. Or that doesn't bother me as much. I don't get triggered as much when I hear this thing or see this thing. Like you are literally moving on, and you're getting to a place of feeling comfortable and perhaps feeling a lot more confident since getting over this thing. All right. So I like this for you. It feels very, like I said, accomplished. And you feel like, all right, I can finally move on. Like I can move on with my life. Okay. Congratulations. All right. Next up, we've got Gemini. Let's see what we've got for Gemini for February. Gemini, we've got the Page of Pentacles. So there is something that you need to learn this month. And when I say learn, I mean like a skill that you may need to acquire. I'm seeing like someone sitting like, this is real old school. I don't know why they're showing it to me like this, but like someone's sitting with like an abacus. Are you guys familiar with an abacus? Like old school math. But it's letting me know that that's a specific thing. Something having to do with numbers, perhaps accounting, something like that. There's something that you need to learn this month. And that's right up your alley because you guys love to learn new things. So there's something about acquiring a new skill this month that's going to, it's almost like this new skill is going to be a stepping stone to something else. It's like, so let's say you have an interest in something and you're like, you know what, let me research this, let me learn more about this. And before you know it, like you're down this rabbit hole, but it's a really enlightening kind of experience for you. But it's a specific skill that's perhaps going to lead to another specific skill, to another specific skill. And before you know it, you have all of this skill under your belt that you can use successfully, whether it's to get a new job, whether it's to open a business, whether it's to just improve the quality of your life. I feel like this learning process is really going to be beneficial to you. All right, so keep that in mind. Next up, we've got Cancer. Let's see what we have for Cancer for February. All right, Cancer. We've got the Empress. So you guys are feeling very generous this month. Not only generous with your money, but generous with your time. Anything that is valuable to you, I see you being very generous with it. It's almost like you feel like your cup is running over and you have this surplus to give. I don't necessarily feel like it's going to be like you're just handing out free things to everybody, right? But I feel like particularly for the people in your immediate circle, could be your friends, could be your family members, could be a partner, you're feeling extra generous. And that could also mean just being more loving, like being there for people more. Maybe it's like, all right, let me cut back on work a little bit and spend more time with my family. Like it is this generosity of everything that's valuable to you that I think February has in store for you. And I feel like it's coming from a very genuine place too. It's not like, oh, I've been working too much, I need to spend time with my family. It's like this love and appreciation that's like, you know what, I really love them, I really want to spend time with them, let me do that. It's this underlying feeling of abundance that's really the reason why you're feeling so generous. It's like you feel like you have more than enough. You're very appreciative. Life may even be blessing you with more in February, which is why your cup is running over, which is why you have more to give to the people around you. So Cancer, I feel like you guys are in a really good position this month because you have more. I'm not going to say you have more than you need. You have more. And therefore you can share it with others. And that makes everybody feel good. Okay. Next up, we've got Leo. Okay. That came out quickly. Leo, we've got the Moon card for you. So February may be a month that is emotional. February may also be a month that finds you being a lot quieter than usual. I feel like it's going to be a month that's very much, centered on your inner world. You may want to look at where Pisces is in your chart, okay? Because I feel like that is going to clue you in as to what area of life you may find yourself withdrawing, or you may find yourself just being a lot more quiet. You're also going to want to pay attention to your dreams in February. They may be very vivid and they may have important messages to impart to you. So make sure that you're resting more. Like you may even feel a lot more tired in February. Don't resist the urge to just do the most and really be out there, especially if your body is craving rest or sleep. Address your inner world, address your emotions, right? Before you start giving your energy to everyone else and again, doing the most, address your inner world first this month. Okay. Next up, we've got Virgo. Let's see what we have for Virgo for February. All right, Virgo, we've got the Knight of Cups. So there is an offer of love that may be coming in for you, Virgo. This definitely feels like romance. It feels like a romantic relationship. I feel like someone wants to... I'm hearing engage with you, and that's not the way that I would describe it. I would say like someone is interested in getting to know you better, especially if you are single and you are uncoupled right now. I feel like if you are coupled, it's like the emotional side of your relationship is going to be highlighted or emphasized in the month of February. Now, it's going to be very important that you are very emotionally honest. I get the sense that the issue of emotional maturity may come up, whether this person lacks emotional maturity or you're able to have emotionally mature conversations. I feel like everything that I'm talking about has a lot to do with how you feel. It's not to say that you have to completely open up as soon as you meet this person, but understand that this relationship can possibly be different than some that you had in the past, but it's going to require a certain level of emotional maturity and emotional vulnerability that you may not be used to or you haven't had in a while. And again, if you are coupled, I feel like your relationship can kind of go to the next level, emotionally speaking. I feel like bonds can be strengthened in February. And no, not because of some Valentine's Day bullshit. I feel like Valentine's Day has nothing to do with it. I just feel like it's your time to experience this. Okay? So yeah, allow it to happen. All right, next up we've got Libra. Oh, that's too many cards, Libra. All right. All right. Libra, we've got the King of Cups. There is going to be a situation in February that's going to require you to keep your cool. It's almost like, have you seen that meme on Instagram where it's that cartoon dog and he's sitting at the table with a cup of coffee and there's fire all around him and he's like, this is fine. Everything is fine. Like that's kind of the energy I'm getting. It's not to say that it's going to be catastrophic around you, but I feel like there is going to be a situation that has the propensity to ruffle your feathers. And I feel like you are going to have to overcome the urge to play into the situation or to play into this game of getting upset and fighting and all of that stuff. Like there's going to be this element of having to control your emotions because whatever is going on is either a distraction or is irrelevant. Like putting your energy into this thing is just going to be an exercise in futility. Okay. It's not going to get you anywhere. It's really just information to show you, okay, this situation either doesn't work or this person ain't working. So yeah, let me just keep it moving. Don't play into, oh, I need to tell this person this, I need to do that. Like it doesn't matter. Like you really need to be able to control your emotions and keep it moving. It's like you kind of have to have blinders on. Like it doesn't matter what's going on in the circus. You're not in the circus. You're just merely passing by. Don't buy a ticket. Don't get comfortable. Don't buy popcorn. Don't get in the ring with the ringmaster and the monkeys. Not your circus. What is it? Not your monkeys, not your circus. Something like that. Either way, I'm being shown a circus and it's like, you just got to keep it moving. Please don't get involved in whatever's going on. And it might have to do with like work or something like that. Like there's a whole shit show going on at work, or you have a group of friends that are fighting over something irrelevant. Resist the urge to be like, oh, let me put my 2 cents in, or, oh, they did this or whatever. Like it really doesn't matter. Like just keep it moving, keep your eyes on the prize and don't get sucked into the distractions. All right. All right. Next up, we've got Scorpio. Let's see what we've got for Scorpio for February. Sometimes I'm like, do I say that word correctly? February. I don't know. How do you guys say it? I'm like, it sounds weird. Scorpio. We've got the Tower. Okay, so there's definitely going to be some dynamic energy in February. I don't get the sense that this is bad, though. I get the sense that this is something shocking, right? It could be shocking that something finally comes together. I'm seeing something like, okay, you've been working towards something and it hasn't materialized. And then boom, it's like it happens all at once. Whatever this is, it's shocking and it's surprising, but I think it's like a really good thing. Yeah, something is just suddenly coming together. And it's like, you had to they're saying like you had to sit still because there is whatever this thing is, it could only come together via God, the universe, right? Like you did your part. You had to let the universe do its part. And now things are finally going to come together. So you also need to resist the urge to try to meddle in this thing. Or you could be feeling like, okay, nothing's been happening. I need to do something. Like you have like ants in your pants and you feel like, I need to do something. I need to do something. And Spirit's like, please just sit down. Like I'm handling this. And Spirit, being a little cocky, is like, well, I can kind of handle this a little better than you can. So just sit down, young grasshopper. Let me handle this for you. I feel like that's what's going to happen, right? So just sit back and let things come together. It is going to shock you. It is going to surprise you, but I think it's going to do so in a good way. Okay. Next up, we've got Sagittarius. Let's see what we have for Sagittarius for February. Okay, Sagittarius, we have the Hermit. So much like Leo, I feel like for you, Sag, February is going to be a quiet month. It's going to be a month where I feel like you voluntarily want to withdraw from things. There are certain things that you need clarity on, and I feel like you're not going to get it if you are constantly in the mix, if you are constantly around other people, if you're constantly taking on other people's energy. Like this is going to be a time where you need to just focus. Right? Where you need to focus and get clarity on a particular situation. Because I feel like there's a situation that you are unclear about, and this could be something significant. This could be like, for instance, I'm hearing like a relationship, right? You've been in a relationship for a while, and you're not sure if you want to continue on this relationship with someone, if you want to take it to the next level, because you've gotten to that point where it's like, all right, maybe it's time for us to get engaged or whatever. But you've got input from everyone, from your friends to your family, to the person, your neighbor, the people down the street. It's like everyone's asking you, well, when are you going to get married? When are you going to do this? And they all want to lend their 2 cents in. And you kind of have to block that noise, like shut it down and just be like, look, I need to think about this on my own. I need to reflect on this on my own without the input of everyone else so I can really understand what I want to do. Because regardless, whatever decision you make, you have to live it. You have to live with it, not them. So February is going to be that month where you withdraw and you get clear on what you want, where you want to go, who you want to go with, and what you want to do. All right. So resist the urge to be all up in the mix or to take other people's opinions to heart. And it's not to say that people don't mean well. It's just that this is a decision that you clearly have to make on your own. So allow yourself the space to do that. Okay. Next up, we've got Capricorn. Let's see what we've got for Capricorn for February. Capricorn. You guys don't want to talk? You guys don't want me to know your business? Oh, okay, Capricorn. Okay, there we go. Yeah, Capricorn, we've got the Strength card. Yeah, there's something that you're like, there's something that you're very defensive about. Like you don't want people's input. You don't necessarily want people to know what you're doing. It's like you are... Yeah, I'm not telling people about this. It's this element of secrecy. And it's like if anyone even so much as utters a word about this thing, you're ready to pounce on them like a lion. You're very protective of this thing. It could be a project that you're working on. It could be anything. If this message resonates with you, you obviously know exactly what this thing is. But you are just like, nope, I'm not letting anybody know. And if people are trying to be nosy, if people are prying and prodding and want to know, like you are literally like this. You are letting them, you are shutting it down and you're like, nah, I'm not answering that. I'm not talking about that. It's none of your business. You guys are not afraid to hurt feelings when it comes to this. So this is something very valuable and important that you're working on or that you're protecting. And Spirit is like, keep that same energy. You might even want to keep it through to March, okay? Because whatever it is, it doesn't need to be tampered with by anyone. It doesn't need anyone's energy on it. Like, keep it pure. Keep the circle tight. If there are people that need to know, like, only the people that need to know need to know. You don't need to be telling the world. You don't need to be broadcasting. People don't need to know your moves, all right? I'm hearing real G's move in silence like lasagna. Whatever. But yes, keep it close to your chest, okay? And yes, it's okay to be defensive. I mean, don't like knock somebody's head off for it, but be tight-lipped about it and see how this thing is going to manifest, okay? Next up, we've got Aquarius. Let's see what we've got for Aquarius for February. And if you are a February Aquarius, happy birthday. Aquarius, we've got the Three of Cups. This is giving togetherness. Like, February could be a month that's very social for you, and that makes sense if you are an Aquarius sun and you are celebrating your birthday. I feel like it's one of those birthdays where it's like, oh my God, every day I'm celebrating every day. Side note, like, no shade, but you know, if it's not your birthday and you have a friend who's celebrating all month, that shit can get expensive, right? It's like every weekend we got to do something. That's just, I don't know. I don't know why I felt the need to say that, but maybe you have a friend that thinks that way or that feels that way. And maybe they don't want to tell you. Maybe it's like, hey, I can't go out drinking like 3 times a week, every week for the month of February. Like, my pockets can't handle it. My liver can't handle it. Yeah, I feel like this is hilarious. I really feel like there is a friend who's like, I cannot partake in all these activities. This could even be like a trip, like a birthday trip or a trip that you're planning in February. And it's like, whereas in October, the chat was real popping. Like, everyone's like, yeah, let's get our tickets. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And now the group chat is real dry. Like, you've got 3 people who are straight up like, I don't have the money. You've got 2 people who are like, well, I don't know. Like, you know, like, it's one of those situations. So you are feeling celebratory, but there may be people around you who can't necessarily keep up. But there are, you may have 1 or 2 people who are really ride or die, who will really be with you. So try not to get too down if everyone can't partake. There are going to be someone who are going to be there for you. And it's not to say that the people that can't be there are not your real friends. People's wallets may be really slim right now, or people can't get approved vacation time. Aquarius, this message is hella specific, but I'm just the messenger, right? So yeah, don't be too mad if not everyone can go, or the trip went from 10 people to 2 people. Still enjoy yourself. It is still your season. And I still do see like a togetherness kind of aspect, even if it's just 3 of y'all just really chilling on the cruise, right? I do see and feel togetherness for you. So try not to get too down if the group is smaller than you would like. There's still plenty of reasons and plenty of people to celebrate with. Okay. And then last but certainly not least, we've got Pisces. Let's see what we've got for Pisces for the month of February. Okay. There we go. Pisces, you've got the 7 of Wands. All right. So you are somewhat combative this month. And here's the thing. Spirit is like, let your point be known, but understand that you are in a higher position than the people who have something to say. So the phrase, I'm hearing a lot of jumbled things. One of the phrases that's coming to me is, don't fight in the mud with a pig because the pig will enjoy it. I don't even know if that's the phrase. That's the problem. Sometimes the way the spirit speaks to me, it's like, it kind of makes sense, but doesn't. It's like, you know what I'm talking about, right? You fight with the pig in the mud. The pig loves it, but you don't because you're not a pig, right? Or whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. But yes, don't waste your breath. Oh, okay. Here's a good one. Eagles are not concerned with the opinion of chickens, okay? Remember your position. Remember your place. Yes, let the chickens squawk. That's what they do. But it means nothing. It's irrelevant to what you're doing. You are on, and it's not to say that you're better than anyone. It's you're in a very different position. So play your position, right? And it's not to say that you can't speak your piece, but you don't need to get involved in this pettiness or this petty bullshit, right? Like, hold your position and keep it moving. There's really no need for a lot of back and forth, because I'm hearing, number one, you're not going to be there for a long time. And number two, the disparity in the levels is so great that whatever is being said is really genuinely irrelevant. So don't buy into it. All right, my loves. Interesting messages for the month. But that concludes this edition of the monthly astro forecast. I sincerely hope that you guys were able to get at least one important piece of information that you could use going into this new month. All right. So for information on my products and services, all of that is listed in the description box below. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have an amazing February, and I will see you guys in my next broadcast. All right, my loves. Take care.